Welcome to another Walter Football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, Senior Draft Analyst, and today I'm going to get into some GM Matchmaker. If you guys read my Monday morning draft column that goes up each week during the NFL season, one of the features of that is a matchmaker where I put some of the top college talent with NFL teams to kind of help solve some of the needs that we saw in games from the previous week. So with a bunch of GM jobs coming open here in the past few days and during the course of this season, I thought it might be fun to put a GM spin on it and kind of link up some of the top scouts and talent evaluators with these franchises that need GMs. So let's get right into it. All right, let's go first off here. Let's go to the Lions. I'll start with the Lions because what the hell, I don't know why, but I'm starting with Detroit. Anyways, the Lions need a top talent evaluator. They need someone that can really bring in some elite talent to that roster. And I think a great fit for them would be Alonzo Highsmith. He's an executive with the Seahawks. He was basically kind of an assistant GM with the Packers for many years, helped turn them into a perennial playoff team, was part of the Super Bowl scouting staff that built up that roster when they won the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, Green Bay's been in the Super Bowl mix. They've had good talent around Rodgers throughout his career. They've gotten good picks like Bakhtiari, Devontae Adams after the first round. And then Alonzo Highsmith did a really nice job helping to turn around Cleveland with Dorsey and that regime, and then he left last winter, almost a year ago, when the Browns had yet another regime change. But he knows the division well, great talent evaluator. I think he would really upgrade the talent on the Lions roster quickly and would be a great asset to the franchise. So Alonzo Highsmith to the Lions. Let's go to the Falcons next. All right, so the Falcons, interesting job here. Thomas Dimitroff, their GM, has not drafted well. You look at Tack McKinley, Vic Beasley, the offensive line picks really haven't turned them into a stud offensive line. They're just okay. So they need better talent, and I think one of the things that Atlanta needs is they need to get more physical. They need to get tougher. They need to become a more imposing team. I think Dimitroff was leaning towards smaller, faster defenders, and Atlanta can get pushed around at times. So I think they need to get a bit meaner and more physical throughout their roster. So I think a good fit for them would be Terrence Gray, the director of college scouting with the Bills. He's done a really good job of scouting talent for that Buffalo team. They've built up a tough roster that plays fundamental football and plays tough football. I think he would really help to reinvigorate that mentality in Atlanta, make them a tougher, more physical team. And along those lines, let's go to the Texans. And I think the Texans general manager, I think a great fit for them would be Morocco Brown, the director of college scouting with the Colts. He's worked with a bunch of teams in the league, is really well respected, excellent talent evaluator by reputation, and obviously the track record with the Colts here is really impressive. From what Chris Ballard and Morocco Brown took over there, they took over one of probably the least physical team in the NFL. They were so finesse, and now they've turned that team into just a mean team that has a tough offensive line that plays really physical defense, is really fundamentally sound, and I think the Texans could really use an infusion of that, considering they're going to have to rebuild that defense. J.J. Watt won't be around a whole lot longer, I think, most likely. Whitney Merciless is aging. You have a couple good linebackers in Zach Cunningham and McKinney, but they really need to get a new crop of defensive core on that team. I think Morocco Brown, with what they've done with the Colts, would be a really good hire there for Houston. All right, so now let's go to and obviously Morocco Brown knows the division well. being with the Colts currently. So let's stay in the division. Let's go to the Jaguars. Okay, now the Jaguars, I think, in my opinion, I think they would get a really excellent GM hire if they went with Rick Smith, the former general manager of the Texans. I think that would be just a huge, huge move for that franchise and really turning Jacksonville into a relevant team in the NFL. Rick Smith, the track record that his front office did with the Texans, there's no arguing. I mean, they are just amazing drafting, the scouting staff he put together there. When you look at Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, late in the first round in a terrible draft in 2013, J.J. Watt, future Hall of Famer outside of the top 10. You got a lot of other really good picks that he had. Whitney Merciless, late first round. Kareem Jackson, a franchise left tackle, and Dwayne Brown late in the first round. Then other good day 2 picks like we hit on Zach Cunningham, Bernard Rick McKinney. You got DJ Reader. They did a good job in undrafted free agents. A.J. Bouye, Arian Foster. So the track record is clear that Rick Smith knows what he's doing, is an excellent talent evaluator. So in my opinion, the Jags couldn't go wrong with him. You're going to have a high first-round pick. You need to nail that franchise quarterback selection. They have other picks from the Rams here this year, and they have a couple second-rounders. I think Rick Smith would really, with his drafting acumen, would really put together a good core to build around there in Jacksonville. And otherwise in Houston, he did a nice job in free agency. They had a really good trend of signing their first-round picks to second contracts at affordable rates, which really had these guys paid at a nice rate in their prime years of their career. So I think Rick Smith would be an excellent hire for the Jaguars. Now, let's go to some under-the-radar GM spots. Now, a lot of people don't really talk about the Redskins as being in the mix, but Washington definitely is. They didn't hire a general manager after they did their regime change. I do know that Dan Snyder talked with Rick Smith about that opening, but I think Rick Smith turned it down because after living through the nightmare that was Bill O'Brien in Houston, he wanted to go to a team that would give him control, and obviously Dan Snyder was doing that with Ron Rivera. So the Redskins GM opening is still there. It'll be interesting to see if they fill it. They might not. They might just do something kind of different and just go with Kyle Smith, their director of college scouting, to run the draft and have their pro director kind of run free agency, and Ron Rivera's kind of above it, coordinating all of it. They might do something like that. Some teams do. But if they do hire a GM, which I have heard that it's still possible, I think Marty Herney, the Carolina Panthers' current general manager, would make a lot of sense because he worked extremely well with Ron Rivera, and the Panthers have been one of the best drafting teams in the NFL. Over this century, the past 20 years, the Panthers have drafted more all-pro players than any team in the NFL in that time frame, and Marty Herney's ran the vast majority of their drafts. Obviously, he built a great core there that led them to the Super Bowl, drafting Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, Josh Norman, putting that team together, which then Dave Gettleman ended up benefiting from. And now Herney's back, and he's doing it again. You see a talented young core on defense emerging there for the Panthers with Brian Burns, Derek Brown, Jeremy Chin. Yetur Gross-Matos has looked good when he hasn't been hurt this year. So I think Herney going to the Redskins would make a lot of sense for Washington, as a guy who's worked with Rivera, works well with him, and could really help to draft well with that team. So that to me, if Washington does want to hire a GM, that one seems to make a lot of sense to me, given that Rivera is the man there. So now, if Herney leaves the Panthers for the Redskins, then that would open up the Panthers GM job. And I think a familiar face there would make a lot of sense, and that would be Dan Morgan, who's a director of player personnel with the Buffalo Bills, former Panther linebacker, like Terrence Gray there in Buffalo, they have done it, and Brandon Beane, their GM, they've done an excellent job rebuilding that roster, reshaping it into a tough football team that plays physical, fundamentally sound. I think he would be a really good fit there with Matt Rule. I think he would bring a lot of talent to that front office in terms of evaluating and understanding the franchise with his history there in Carolina. So I think he would be a really good fit as the Panthers GM if Marty Herney were to leave. Now let's do a bonus round, because another GM opening that should be open right now is Ryan Pace with the Bears. The Bears should fire him. Obviously, the 2017 draft is going to live in infamy with Chicago across the history of the NFL, passing on Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson for Mitch Trubisky. Pace completely blew that evaluation. No other way around it. He essentially passed on Michael Jordan twice. So the Bears definitely need an upgrade at general manager. There's a few guys here that I would put. Brandon Hunt, executive with the Steelers. They've just been such a rock-solid franchise in terms of consistently drafting well, making smart decisions on contracts, and just keeping a really talented core team together. And I think the experience in Pittsburgh, that type of franchise with an old NFL family, I think would really be helpful for the Bears GM spot with going from the Steelers to the Bears. I think that would cross over quite well. So Brandon Hunt would make a lot of sense for them. I think Brad Holmes, the Rams director of college scouting, would be another good hire for the Bears as well. I think Los Angeles, old habits here. But going to when they were drafting in St. Louis and Los Angeles has helped put together a good roster there. They've had some hits and misses, but have also drafted some elite talent. Obviously, Aaron Donald, Todd Gurley, among others. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We're a new channel. We're trying to grow this thing, so please help us out. Please share it with your friends. Please subscribe to the channel. We definitely would love to have you, and feel free to email me at draftcampbell@gmail.com. I'm going to put together a mailbag here pretty soon. I've already gotten a few questions for it that I'll definitely include, and I just mentioned it for the first time in the last video, but I'll do that one probably in the next week or two, so feel free to email me questions. And you can follow me on Twitter at Draft Campbell. You can follow Walt on Twitter at Walter Football. Check out his weekly picks. Great job of handicapping there by him and Jacob. So if you're into that, you're definitely going to want to read it, help make you some money. And check out our new mock drafts below. I have the position rankings links all below here. So in the description box, so you can check all that out. But thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate it. You guys take care, and I'll be back with you soon.